telling you, man, we got a big problem with this countdown situation. This is a big problem. It's not right. We're on the air within like 20 seconds. It feels like I'm being jumped. You know, I can't. I can't deal with it takes me time to get the overlays off, and it's difficult.
There's something missing. The magic is gone.
Immediate discourse reference from you. Good stuff. Okay, folks. I didn't have the name tags on initially there. For those of you that are patrons, this is a familiar face, the piece of shit behind the infamous Wrestle Purist account, our pal Montel Vontavious Porter. How are you doing this evening, pal? Ready to talk some Dynamite?
Excited as ever. Yeah. Got them Wednesday feels, brother.
Yeah, we were just running down the show between us, right? And we were just talking about how excited we are and how much we know, how much we're locked in because we're professionals. Yeah. And look at this. Yes, that brother is the I feel so bad. Like people don't realize this. Okay, this is not about AEW Dynamite, but it's worth talking about because it's good content. Okay, you're like a real Pete Dunne fan, like a real fan. You like the guy, man. And there
he's from the beats, bro. He's local. He's local.
Yeah. Do you have any comment on the WWF characterization of old Butch?
Oh, they're just gonna do what they're doing, though.
Yeah.
You get what you get. It is literally just one of those things. You know, I'd like it if Tyler Bate could come back to life, but you have to just deal with what you get given from that company.
Listen, man, you're better off having him just exist off in the shadows. You don't want Vince getting his hands on young Tyler Bate. You don't need that. Nonetheless, folks, we're here to talk Dynamite. Often I'll do this solo and we'll do Q&A format. I think we're still very much going to play off the chat because, believe it or not, we aren't actually well prepared for this show whatsoever. Nonetheless, to kick things off, what are you most looking forward to on Dynamite tonight? Chat, you can answer. Monitor, you give me an answer too, and then we'll go from there. Let's start this thing off. Where are you at?
I think I'm going to have to go with CM Punk and Dustin Rhodes because, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know you were going.
Dustin's gonna turn back the clock. Maybe blood, maybe small chance. There's a small chance of blood.
Maybe, yeah, I can see it. This is interesting. This is a case of we all know the finish to this match, right? It's just another stop on Punk's kind of road to title contention. But we all have this, and I shouldn't say we. You and I and Dorks have this, we get a grin out of seeing Dustin in this spot, right?
Yes.
Now, I have a question that may seem cutting, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I have a take. I think I'm confident on it, but I want to see yours. Is this going to be, actually good, or are we going to pretend it's good? Because I'm happy to do the latter, but I think we've got a chance at, the first one. I think it could be actually good.
It's, Dustin can put on these good matches when it is, but the thing is, my bias does infect my brain quite a lot when it comes to these guys. That just popped me tremendously, and it's just, there is a good chance that it is actually good, and I'm probably going to say it's good either way.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not the greatest person to ask, but yeah, I think Dustin can pull him off, man. He can do it. And we all know CM Punk can, and the structure of the match will probably be near perfect. So it's, they're not going to go fucking 20, 30 minutes or anything.
Well,
so,
you never do know. Joe's got a good question here. I like this. What do we think here in terms of, because Dustin, as he gets older, especially, he leans on that kind of that sympathy you have for him, right? So he can wrestle a guy like Lance Archer and take 7 minutes of heat. And the match will be great because you're just watching it through your hands, because poor Dustin's getting the shit kicked out of him. Well, often in TV matches, Punk does the same thing where he'll kind of take a extended heat segment. I think it's a good question from Joe. Are we going to see Punk play the kind of de facto heel here, and maybe work a body part on Dustin? What do you think, kind of structure-wise, we're going to get in that regard? That's an interesting thing I hadn't considered before that comment.
Yeah, it's fair. I think we'll probably get CM Punk leaning more heel because he kind of has to,
Yeah, I think so.
And I think from the times he has had the opportunity to do so, which is very rare with CM Punk, I think he gets a kick out of it.
Mhm.
So I think he's
Yeah.
probably licking his lips at the thought of, kicking the shit out of Dustin a little.
I agree. Are you of the belief that a heel turn is ahead for Punk? You know, this Hangman match looms. I've been talking about it on every show. It fascinates me. Do you think this could be a sign of things to come, or are we going to just get a babyface match at the pay per view? What do you think Punk's long term is here?
I think. See, I think I want CM Punk heel, so I'm going to say yeah.
Mhm.
I personally would have him turn heel on Hangman Page
Mhm.
and go from there. And just as soon as you put that belt on Punk, it's we're off to the races, brother. it's time
I
to
think
do some
so.
serious business. And
Yeah.
I love Hangman Adam Page. I think he'll be fine to lose the belt, to be honest, especially to Punk. It's just I think towards the end of the year, I think already we've started seeing Tony Khan be a little bit more aggressive then. And I think that's just going to get ramped up more and more throughout the year. And I think a CM Punk title reign definitely fits in with that.
Look at the chat. Look at these pieces of shit when armed with the audio. They suddenly, it's terrible. I'm intrigued by this.
The ice cream truck will be playing again probably in about 2 minutes. So
Even better. That's even
not
better.
much I can do
Tremendous.
about it.
No, it's good. It adds some sort of sense of scenery to the event.
Oh yeah.
I'm intrigued by this. I know you and I are kind of aware of how like hot takey the landscape is, and I don't have a strong feel on Punk Hangman. I think I know what finish I'd do, and I've alluded to it for a long time. That heel turn you just referenced, I think, is the way, but I don't necessarily think it's right. Like Hangman's doing good. We'll see. We'll kind of see how things unfold. Where are you at on the Dynamite lineup as a whole tonight? It looks pretty good. It looks like slightly a step down from last week, but I think that's natural.
No,
It
don't say
sure
that.
feels like. Well,
Don't
it's
say
just
that. Tony Khan will be on Twitter announcing
he'll announce
left, right, and
saying, yeah.
centre.
I don't know.
Jesus.
Well, I think it's pretty good though, right?
Yeah, it's a strong lineup, I think. Obviously, compared to what we've been used to recently, but I've seen a few people not get that fired up about Dustin versus Punk. So I think me being so fired up about that adds a lot to
Yes.
more general feelings towards the card. And a match that I wouldn't say I forgot about it, but I haven't referenced it literally at all when talking to anyone about Dynamite this week is Darby versus Andrade.
My God, that's tonight.
That's tonight. This is what I mean. Like it's just it's
Okay.
it feels like it's kind of slipped under the radar, and that could easily be 4.25.
4.25, brother. Is that an example of they have so much going on that it's like it runs. Oh no, the chat's different level, man. It's just tough. Is that an example of they have so much going on that you just naturally forget stuff, or sometimes does it feel like they could hit these points home a little bit harder? Like go ahead.
I feel like it's probably a mixture of both because they do have a lot going on, and I feel like most of the discourse this week has been mainly about the announcement that's coming. So there's that. Then there's dorks like us popping for Dustin Rhodes getting a big match, and Hook's Hook's got his Dynamite debut as well. But yeah, a lot of things do slip under the radar. Then when you're live watching the show and it's you get a great match or a great segment or whatever it may be, it just pops you even more. So it probably doesn't work in their favor in terms of getting the biggest numbers they can. But I feel like for us as a live experience, it's probably a good thing because you get popped by things that you weren't initially looking towards.
Yes. Like a good example of that is last week, that tag with Team Taz, Keith and Swerve. Like that was just like that, like hour and 30 into the show, they just threw that out, and that was fucking awesome. Like you're right.
Yeah.
It's because they don't over push it. It definitely gives you a chance to kind of creep up on you. I do think look, it's really hard with that Rampage last week because, like, look, the time slot was killer, right? The time slot doesn't help. I get all of the things. It sure felt like they could have pushed Cole and Hangman harder last week, right? Like that felt. See, to me, that's a good example of where the bad faith folks like remove actual good conversation.
Yeah.
Because there is a conversation to be had about like you probably could have done more than a 90-second video package, right? Like you probably could have done that. I don't know if the number would have been better, but it feels like that's a real criticism. I don't know.
The whole feud to me felt somewhat stop-gappy, if that makes sense. It didn't feel like I never personally got the impression that they might put the belt on Cole, to be honest.
Yeah.
So like that does take a lot away of it, especially with Adam Cole, somebody who a lot of people do want to see be a champion. So to do that first title feud when he's not going to win the title kind of took a lot of the sting out of it. And I feel like I don't know, it feels like it feels like they've put more time and thought into the, say like the Punk MJF feud and stuff like that, and the feature feuds, and it's a lot to juggle because they've got so much talent on that roster. It's so deep now, and they've got so many main eventers, whether that be the Blackpool Combat Club, whether that be Punk, whether that be MJF and Wardlow, whether that be Hangman Adam Page, whatever he's doing. They've got a lot of things that are like, would be main event angles at any other time. So it's hard to juggle them all at the moment. Especially that Wardlow stuff, because like it's all great in the middle of the show and stuff, but that guy's fucking over. Like he's so over right now.
They struggled to top it too. You're right. That's a real. Yeah. There was the one where Jay Shell went when Joe first wrestled. You could tell the crowd was not the same post Wardlow. Like
no, they come up for him, man.
It's crazy.
It's so hype. Like it's it's really simple pro wrestling. Just a big guy throwing security guards about, and
it rules. It still works. It rules. Here's a question about where they place the world title program, and maybe they could have it close the show, so on and so forth. And it's definitely an interesting conversation. I think, being objective, there is a lot of evidence that Hangman does not feel like the centerpiece of AEW Dynamite. Now, we could debate all day long whether that's actually good or bad for Hangman, because I do think there's times where it helps. But I think it's objectively the case that he isn't the most important character on the show. Right or wrong, that feels like the case, right? So, it's interesting, Sean. What do you think?
It's tough, isn't it? Because like I was saying, when you've got Punk, Danielson, Mox, it's but personally, when Hangman first won the belt from Omega, and it was like, this is it now, let's go. And they have booked him as an ace of sorts, but I was genuinely expecting him to run through those names I just mentioned, one after another. Then it started with Danielson. I was like, okay, let's go. Then then I get that they have to mix in other stuff, and they've done the Archer stuff, they've done this, they've done that. Then they've done the Adam Cole thing, and it did kind of I don't know, man. Like I said, it just never really felt like he was being presented to us like this could be a guy that could take the belt off him. So like I said, I think the fact that it did kind of have that stopgap feel, to me at least, kind of did kill some of the magic from it.
I think part of what it is when you're struggling so desperately to get everyone on the show, and you kind of referenced this and alluded to it, I think it's the truth. It's like, okay, why are these guys fighting? I need to come up with a reason for that to make this match. The belt gives you an out in that regard, right? It's like, well, the story can be as simple as he just wants to be the world champion. Yeah. And I think sometimes that hurts the creative, because I think it's pretty clear that Cole and Hangman actually had a real story to tell. But when you're trying to, as you said, you're trying to juggle all these things, you kind of naturally fall into place of, yeah, but they'll be okay. They've got the belt. And everyone loves Adam Cole, and they do the Bay, and Hangman's so over. Don't worry about that. Just try and make sure this story is clicking. They haven't got a belt. I think that's been a thing in modern wrestling for a while now. This is a good example of it. Punk's title reign when Cena was like the top guy. And there's a lot. Look, that wasn't particularly celebrated, that move, but it was what it was. I think what's going to be really interesting is what the crowd does when we get Punk and Hangman. Are we going to get a split? Are we going to get a decided choice of the audience? I don't know what your guess is. I genuinely don't know. Like, I legitimately, my assumption is there'll be a split. What do you think the crowd? Yeah.
I think there'll be a split, probably in favour of Punk.
Okay.
And I know like everyone loves Hangman, but I think not everyone, but I think the majority probably love Punk more. I think it'll just be one of those things, and I think it'll be one of those really cool atmosphere with Julian Chance, because everyone wants to see both guys, go out there and kill it, and it's one of those things that I think you alluded to it before on a previous show, where they can't really go wrong with the finish, because if Hangman wins, he's the ace, he's the ace. Like
absolutely.
That's as definitive as, not getting beat by Bryan after 2 matches or beating Kenny Omega. That's a really definitive win for him. And if Punk wins, let's have some fun. Let's really get crazy.
This is a key point here, is like the way they tell the story matters, right? If Punk is kind of a dick, which he very well could be, he's going to kind of give the audience the chance to go in the way. Because listen, I love Eddie, and Eddie is that over. But part of why people cheered Eddie was because Punk was kind of a dick when he spoke to Eddie, right? Like you belong on Dark and stuff, and the people naturally just go fuck that, So that stuff matters. If Punk is a babyface try to complete the fairy tale comeback, it's going to be interesting, man, because there's definitely going to be some people that about 20 minutes into that thing in Vegas start going, you know what? I want to see this fucking thing. Put the belt on him. It'll be great. It'll be really interesting. I can't wait for the match. Hopefully Punk kind of keeps the momentum, keeps the positive trend rolling here tonight with Dustin. I think we're both confident he will. So, you mentioned the Coffin Match. Is Darby just winning this thing?
I don't know. It's weird. He's been kind of like a weird spot lately, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like does it really hurt either of them? If they lose, I think it would. I personally think it would be bigger for Andrado to win than it would be for Darby to win here.
Yes.
Especially obviously with it being, a Darby match. I don't know, man. I love Andrado, so I just want to see him, as prominently featured as possible. So if he's stacking up wins against big talent like Darby, who, historically put pretty strong, very strong to be honest, pretty protected, then that's good stuff for me. Anyway, my enjoyment.
You can do some different kind of stuff with the finish here too, right? Like if the heel is winning, he doesn't have to like hit his finish and roll the guy into the coffin. Like you can do some weird shit. Like if the finish on the Ethan Page match where afterwards he did the coffin drop through the coffin. Like, what if you do a deal where he fucking puts Andrade on top of it, tries to do that, and Andrade moves, and he just fucking puts himself into the coffin? I mean, could you imagine that visually? And he would do that shit. He would do that shit.
My immediate idea was Andrade's so explosive, so I just like to see him smash people sometimes. I just want to see him powerbomb him off the apron through the coffin.
Okay, well, that's different, but it works. That would be visually him just like an Incredible Hulk fucking smashing him through the coffin. He's in it. Yeah, that would rule. I actually think the chat is it's kind of split on it. I think Darby's winning because it's his match. I think the real key from Andrade perspective, and we both love the guy, I think the real key is the follow-up, right? Like, you need to have him into saying else. This has to be the end of this feud with the Hardys and all of the many different... It has to be the end, right? Yeah, I know.
They love doing this with the mid-card, man.
Yeah, it goes on for a while.
Yeah, it's like, shit. I think it's like Tony Khan was just get the TV some weeks and be like, shit, that's still going. I haven't tied that one up yet. Coffin Match.
Yeah.
They do that quite a lot. It probably is the end. Probably for the best. It's about time we got the
What's the best example of a feud that just went? Is it the Hardy family office? Yes, exactly that. Yeah.
That was crazy, bro. Like it almost became a meme. Like
And then they
it was like their Via. That's what that became.
they did they did that match. Remember the Rampage before the pay-per-view? They did like their big singles. They did a lumberjack match and it was like really bad.
Flat.
And then Matt
So
won.
flat.
And as far as I know in chat, help me on this, because I don't think anyone's going to know, but I think I'm right. The blow-off officially was that they got Tomohiro Ishii to come in and help them beat up the Butcher and the Blade. I think that's what it was.
The dream match that everybody wanted for Ishii when he came to AEW.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Well,
what a way to kick it off.
Yeah, well, it was pretty. I mean, it was fun though, right? I don't even remember a lot of it, but
yeah, but I don't. When I think of Ishii, do you think of fun, or do you think of him headbutting Suzuki on the weekend?
Dude, him and Eddie are going to beat the fuck out of each other.
Oh my god!
He went like full, like, yeah, we're going to have a battle of Japanese wrestling ideologies. Like he's fucking out there representing Misawa. Could you believe that? The balls on him to cut that promo.
You can get away with anything, bro. You could get away with
hard.
anything. You can get away with anything. And people will just pump the fist. Well, I will.
A lot of it was something. This is interesting. Private Party Top Flight. I think saying Top Flight on TV is of huge importance. Private parties, you know, they always have that kind of safety net, and I think I would like them to do a lot more. But they have that thing where because they're in the heel group, they're going to be on TV, right? Unless I'm mistaken, Top Flight's TV presence since Darius come back has been almost non-existent. I could be forgetting Zank, I really could, but I don't think we've seen them. I mean, he wrestled. Obviously, Dante, he got the title shot with Hangman, right? They did the battle royal. They wrestled
the Bucks.
Yes, and that was the reason I forgot that. That was the night of Supercard. Remember?
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
I remember. I'll be honest, I did skip through it because
Samoa Joe just debuted. And
sometimes, when you've watched that much wrestling, it's just you just want to make sure you don't miss any big angles or anything, so you just kind of skip through some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I know you didn't do that for Gresham Dalton Castle. You watched that one front about I think 6 times. You finished up out right. You really studied it,
analysed it, counted the strikes, everything. Everything. Uploaded a cage match review. I done it all.
Dude, those folks on Cage Match, they're pieces of shit. You know, they really are. They're
it's
not
the long
trusted.
ones. It's the really long ones where it's like when it'll be free. They'll rate a match and it'll be like this long paragraph about this match they didn't even like.
I have this real problem with Cage Match where like I fail to compute that like I should just use it as an equivalent of 5 stars and I just have to double the number. Like I can't do this. Like my brain's like, so I'll see a 7, but that's whole shit. That was definitely a 3.5 star. And I'll be like, oh, well, fuck. It doesn't sound right though, you know? And you know what else messes with you? The colors. The colors mess with you.
Yeah.
You see that yellow there, and it's like, well, this thing sucked, you know? This is bullshit. I was mad. When Joe Suzuki slid under the 8, I was... Yeah. I actually thought that was pretty generous. I'm not gonna lie. I loved it, but, you know.
Oh, but it's Cage Match. So it's like, you know, it's like, did it pop Cage Match? It's a different thing.
Yeah. I have a content idea for WrestlePurist.com. I'm going to do this live on the air. Ready?
Okay.
So, I think it's time for us as a family, and chat, you're invited in this, to discuss where, after 3 weeks, Samoa Joe fits on the big board of weirdest wrestling runs in history. I've thought about it a lot, and I would like to, if I can, just kind of give my case here. Debuts on Ring of Honor show, which to this point is the last thing that promotion has announced. They have no dates. They are a thing that will happen at some point. We do not know when or where. Okay? Follows up by entering a tournament as the first man in it by beating Max Caster in a 2-minute squash match.
That's crazy.
Then is announced for a segment with Jay Lethal, but instead is able to wrestle Minoru Suzuki for the television title, which then transitions into the segment with Jay Lethal, in which a 7'4" giant comes out and beats the ever-loving fuck out of him. Right? Did I mention? Hang on a second, because I forgot some details. You know that match with Minoru Suzuki? For the Ring of Honor television title, a belt that didn't even exist when he was in Ring of Honor, but you get what you get. He won the belt. He went traffic light red during the match and appeared to be very much regretting his decision.
I was worried. I was genuinely worried.
Okay.
I tweeted about it on one of my accounts. It's like Sanjay Dutt comes out and starts cutting the promo, and Joe's just sat there focusing on not dying. Like he don't even look up and acknowledge him or nothing. He's just there, crumbled.
It was crazy. Like at the end, he has to do this like big kick in the corner, and like you see him go through the thing of like, oh fuck, like, I've got to really like gear up for this. Like he's like loading up his stamina bar. Like he's like, here we go, I'm going up, and he hits it, and he couldn't even hold his pin, man. God bless him. That dude didn't need to work that hard, but he did anyway.
Really amazing stuff.
On a primetime Saturday night special that no one cared about, he came out with a very tight t-shirt and he's on with a lead pipe. He hasn't spoken yet on AEW TV. He hasn't said a word.
He hasn't, has he?
Not a
word.
This is going under. This is one of the weirdest fucking runs ever. I'm telling you.
Caster's rapped at him.
Yes.
But he hasn't said a word. Yeah, it is fascinating. It's hard to see where he'll fit right now because it's been that weird.
I think what makes it weirder is he's not a guy like Swerve or like Keith Lee who came straight from WWE TV and was like wrestling. Like him being inactive before makes it even funnier, right? Like because he's been dropped on the show like this is just normal. Like here's Samoa Joe, he's part of the roster now. It's like I don't know, man. It's just not what I meant.
What we've all been waiting for.
I'm having a lot of fun. It's great to have him active. It's just funny that like he's just doing this run. This is a good question. Does he wrestle Big Satnam Singh? Are we going to get the big trios match? What do you think we're getting here? What's the end game?
Listen, anyone that knows me, knows that Satnam Singh versus Samoa Joe would probably have me on my feet at multiple points. It's probably something I could easily talk myself into needing to see.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, it'd pop me either way.
There's no way they book it, right?
There's
no way There's no way Joe's down.
I hope we do get a trios. I just want the Samoa Joe trying to chop him or something.
Look at this wildest muscle buster of all time. Imagine him doing his big dive and big Satnam just sort of going over. Bless
catches him.
Oh, that'd be tremendous. I mean, the actual end game, I assume, is that like, he goes 3 1/4 with Jay Lethal on a rampage at some point. It definitely won't be boring at all. That's the end game, right?
Most likely. Probably most likely. I wouldn't be mad at a trios match though. They could do something like Samoa Joe, Gresham, and insert.
Well, Lee's part of their because Lee is always there. Like he runs out and gets the shit kicked out of him first, and then Joe comes out.
Solid out with his injury.
Yes, that is fucking hilarious. With him coming down the ramp was really funny. That was, by the way, that angle was actually good on the Battle of the Belt show. Like when Satnam Singh grabbed Gresh on the floor and started slamming him, like he was that was wild, man. So, it was visual.
Who do we think came up with the lights out angle? Because remember when the other day, Sean Sapp alluded that it may have been Jerry Lynn on a select post. Then that was corrected, but we was never given any indication of who it may have been instead. Tony Khan said it's someone with 30 years of experience. So,
right, that's it. We're doing it now.
Who are the top candidates? So if the chat can do me that one favor, who do you think put that angle?
I'm pulling up the roster page, brother. We're doing it now. Here's the thing.
JR.
There's no way it's Joe. He hates when the lights go out. He gets mad every time. I don't think it's because the chat is really firing here. Tony Schiavone, Dustin. Schiavone, honestly, Tony may have blood in his hands here. I don't know, man. I think it may be Dustin. Would Dustin be a lights out guy though? It feels like he would just have him walk through the crowd and bleed everywhere.
How about Tall Paul?
Yeah, he has to do something at work, doesn't he? So I mean, might be maybe he just walks around pitching stuff all day. It's like his way of making.
Did you watch his match?
The one on Elevation? Yeah.
Oh, such a.
It worries me. It worries me because
Those
his knees sort of
Oof.
They're staring at each other basically. It's fucking insane.
The cave in him, brother.
It's wild. Man. Now. Speaking of weird runs. No, it's been over a year now. Tall Paul he's upper echelon in that regard. I mean, they did a big press release and he's just sort of floated about. I don't know, he's just sort of existed. Yeah.
It is it's a weird one because it's not even like he's doing. We don't see him. We see Mark Henry. They found the spot for him. You know, we get commentary and we get the odd bit of commentary from Mr. Paul White, but so we don't see him. Not everyone watches his YouTube shows, man.
Seriously, how much of this whole situation is because of that weigh-in segment that went like fucking like what he was incredible in that segment. Why didn't he just like make up the number? Like, why was he like waiting for the scale to work? Why the fuck did he do that?
There's no answer to this. There's no answer. I could sit here in silence like Oracle for 10 minutes and not think of an answer. There's no answer for this thing.
I feel like even you and I, who have never done a segment on professional wrestling television, even we at a point would have been like, you know what, we're in a pinch here. Let's just make up a number. And he was like, no, hold on. Can everyone hold on here? Let me get this right. I want to be very clear, and I'm going to speak for you on this too. Yes, I am complaining. I want a lot more of Paul on AEW television. He's funny, man. You seen him?
You see how you can mention the Q2 Marshall feud, but it's like I don't think anyone's looking to see him wrestle 10-minute matches or anything like that. I don't even want to see him wrestle, to be honest. It pops me. It pops me. I just want to see him.
You just want to see him. Yeah.
It's not really a complaint, to be honest. It's not like, I'm not going to win Dynamite tonight and be like, oh, man, I wish I got me some Tall Paul. That's not.
What if they WWE does those backstage skits where people like just talk to each other like it's a soap opera? What if AEW did them and like he just stands in the background of them and like just looks fucking tall and awesome and he wears like hilarious t-shirts and he walks past and he's like, hey, that's no more BS, and everyone's like, fucking yeah, you know.
No, that Attitude Era, all the talent integrating with each other in the back and all that sort of stuff. Like, you know, if two people are brawling, they've done it with Swerve, Lee, and Team Taz when they were brawling and they went through the wall and it was into another locker room. Like, I love that shit because it's like, you know,
like it's like a real universe almost.
It's like you got to create these tensions and stuff between people somehow, and it's like you can do that easily because, you know, you can just do exaggerated normal human interactions, you know. Like, remember when, you know, Kane, who was it? Was it Jericho who spilled coffee on Kane? Come on, like, just do something, man.
Great example.
Sometimes they try to do too much. I'm not saying that was a classic angle, even though I'm bringing it up like 25 years later.
It means a lot to you. I understand. What if you know that segment you referenced with Team Taz where they went through the wall? Yeah. Imagine like when that happens, like everyone's laid out and Paul White like comes under the gap in the wall and he's like, "Told you, man, no more BS," and it just cuts back to announcers and like, wow, Paul White.
That would be incredible. Like if we could just get that catchphrase going. Just does that. Once, it's not every show either. Like once every 3 shows.
Yeah,
it just pops up out of nowhere.
If you do it too often, it loses its appeal, you know? Like someone in the chat said about it being like the equivalent of, you know, Ron Simmons' Damn. Like you could do something with that. Especially because it's so much longer too, which makes it even funnier. Like he has to really, you know, there's multiple words there. It isn't even just a single. There's a lot to be said for this. Anyway, I don't think he's going to be on tonight's show. Britt Baker is back, our favorite. She is back. In all seriousness, she's going to get a huge reaction tonight. What do we think Britt is awaiting Britt here in terms of usage, positioning, presentation? Like, is she just going to be the same character, or are we going to just, embrace her as a babyface? What do you think?
I think she done an interview literally recently. I haven't had a chance to read it or watch it yet. I think it was with Sean, to be honest. And she was talking about, her heel character and, the help she's had doing that heel character. And it doesn't seem like she's done with it, to be honest. I'm not sure. I personally, if I was booking, I'd probably turn a face at some point over the next, pretty soon, to be honest. But I personally do think they're probably just going to do more of the same with her, but just without the belt. Which I'm not. Yeah. I think it'll be more of the same. But that's I don't know anything.
In ring, my hope is that as a babyface, you could do different stuff with her. Like, if there's one thing everyone agrees on with Britt, is that she's nuts and will take like dumb, absurd bumps for professional wrestling. Imagine her as a babyface, just like being a bumping fucking babyface, and he'll like Jamie Hayter's like flinging her. Because look, her doing 6-minute heat segments, brother. I've explored that enough times for a lifetime. I've seen it. I know what she does. I don't think she's very good at it, but the people love her, and if you get heat on her, I think they may actually be with it. Her best title defense, I think, by a distance, was the Statlander match, which was ultimately them just doing their coolest moves for about 10 minutes and getting out of there.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's time for it to be a babyface. But honestly, and I've said this before, I think it's time for Cole to be a babyface. Adam Cole's doing no one any good as a heel, brother. They cheer him. He has catchphrases. He isn't like a great heel worker who has these great, compelling, leading of matches. I don't know, man. I think they should be baby faces. Now,
I think he's a better worker as a face as well. So
yeah, exactly. It's just
there's that.
How do we?
Even though a lot of people like his personality as a heel, like the cockiness and all that sort of stuff.
That's fair. I get it. Yeah.
So there's that, but like you said, like there's all these factors that build up. Like people come up for him, man. Just his theme plays, and people come up for him. Like you said, he's got his catchphrase, he's got this, he's got that. And it's it's even Britt Baker, to be honest. Sometimes it can feel it's just a bit forced, like I'm playing a heel,
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And it kind of removes connection.
Mm-hmm.
For me, anyway, it kind of takes me out, and that's kind of always been somewhat one of my criticisms of Adam Cole, is that I don't connect with him, and as a heel right now with the crowd cheering the way he does, and he clearly enjoys it as well.
Yeah,
so the fans love him, he loves the fans. What are we doing here? Just turn face. Whereas Britt Baker, she actually does enjoy being a heel, but to me, it's still, I'm not saying Adam Cole doesn't enjoy it, but
he likes to pop, so I get you. I really do wonder if you could use Sammy and Ty to flip them both. Like, I wonder if I could. I'm trying to think of a good scenario for this, but like,
just vicious.
I'm being serious. Like, if you could probably use Sammy and Ty to get where we want to get here. Like you could use them as like the bridge, because no one really wants to see Adam and Britt together. But if they're together along opposite Sammy and Ty, it's like, go Britt, fuck, here we go. Like, I mean, it's, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for that. I think Adam Cole was going to win the Owen Hart tournament. Your thoughts?
I mean,
yeah,
there's not really much to say. It's like it's not a big disgrace or anything like that, because obviously he's one of their top guys, man. He's probably not going to be winning the TNT Championship anytime soon. He's just lost a World Championship feud. They probably want to give him something, So it wouldn't be, like I said, it wouldn't be a disgrace or anything. But personally, just like it wouldn't really do anything for me at all. And I actually I don't mind Adam Cole. Like I know some people may beg to differ, but it's just like I said, on that top. I feel like on that top guy status, he kind of. I feel like it may have been a booking problem. Like I said, with it feeling like a stopgap feud, but you just never really felt like on Hangman's level. For me,
it's hard, man. On that roster, it's hard to be convincing as a top guy. You know, I think it's been a problem. A lot of people disagree with us. I just think, when you're in the big, you're not just the big fish in the small pond, right? It's different. I just think it is. I don't even think it's like a criticism. Like, we both love Andrade. If he was in the world title program doing 10-minute in-ring segments, we'd probably come to the same conclusion about him. Like, it just is what it is. You're dealing with, there's fucking top guys on this show, Like, when you got John Moxley and Bryan Danielson doing shit together, it's like, hey, man, good luck. Like, it's hard. I actually think there's a good chance that they double dip and it's Adam Cole and Britt as Owen champs. And that is going to be a day to log on, get your shield ready. Get ready to go to war, folks, because there's going to be some people throwing some bombs out there. It's going to be crazy. Anyway, enough about this stuff that is not relevant tonight. Chances tonight's women's match is good, or is it more likely it's very short and we'd have to do the conversation again? Because if we do, fair. But, like, these are in qualifiers, brother. I don't think they're really achieving much,
What are we dealing with? Britt Baker versus Daniel Camilla.
Yes.
I mean, it would just be what it is. You know what I mean?
So Britt Baker.
Oh, no, I don't think it will be full squash because I feel like Britt Baker will want to have. She hasn't had a match in a while, so she'll probably want to do like a little, 5-8 minutes, something like
that.
Yeah. Obviously, she's probably not going to be selling all over the place for her, but yeah, it's not exactly going to be a Charlotte Flair squash match either. So,
well, win some, you lose some. I think that this is a moment for Tony Khan to do something bold. My pitch is Daniel Camilla over with a finish in 90 seconds. See what the people do with that and go from there. I would check the quarter hours. It's just me. I'm just, I'm a fantasy booker. I would check the quarter hours. I think there's evidence in the AEW Dark analytics that this is the way to go. I do not necessarily know what Daniel Camilla's finish is, but we can figure that out. That's just me. But don't shoot the messenger. I'm just a guy of ideas.
Pervert.
No paywall. Okay, there's certain bits exist behind the paywall that we're going to move on as a professional should. All right. Anyway, what else is on tonight's show? Do we have other stuff? Do we have any other stuff to talk about, or should we just freelance? I don't know if there's stuff we're forgetting.
Kyle O'Reilly versus Jungle Boy. Apparently,
that's going to be really good, man. Seriously, that's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Now, finish is simple as over.
I love Jungle Boy singles matches, man. Every time they let him get in there with someone decent, it's just always like people are there for it, man.
O'Reilly's winning tonight, right? It's a chance to give Carl a little bit of shine, I think, after a weird kind of uneven start to his run. For stuff that's out of everyone's control, but, he missed a couple of weeks.
Yeah, probably.
It feels like a chance to give Carl some shine, and I think, he's a hell of a wrestler, obviously. I don't think... Now, there's a good example of what we were just talking about. When Kyle was the top babyface on NXT, I think it exposed some of his frailties. In this role, I think everyone enjoys watching him wrestle. I think they're going to have a really great match. Do you think we get any shenanigans with a Christian Cage, or is that we still got to wait a little bit longer for that? What do you think?
Well, that's been simmering for a long time now. It feels like one of those things it could happen any week. Any week that you say that it could happen, you have a good 50-50 chance of it happening. I think it will be one of those things that just happens in a situation like this. So who knows? I don't know. I'm really interested to see how that goes. So,
I've been owned.
Again.
Chat thinks Jungle Boy's winning, so I've been owned. I thought that was the whole point of the match, was that they win one. Okay, chat. There's 50 of you here, almost 50. Name in the chat, Jungle Boy or Kyle O'Reilly. I want to see what the consensus is. I kind of thought it was a lock that O'Reilly was going to win this. Now I feel like I've made a fool of here on this famed late night Grin platform. I'm intrigued. Butcher and Wardlow. This feels like the kind of thing that would get you pumping a fist or two. You in on this business?
It'll be really interesting to see how it works. Because with Wardlow being, just being a kick-ass babyface who's just huge. You've got to be careful with who you match him up with because I can imagine Butcher's going to be trying to get some heat on him, and it's just a weird dynamic because look at Wardlow, for fuck's sake.
People just want him to smash too, man. That's what they want.
Yeah, then sometimes when you get the big man versus big man, they just kind of smash into each other. So I'm kind of hoping for the latter.
Yes,
I don't really want to be seeing Butcher doing like 3-minute heat segments on Wardlow and
nerve hold.
So it's a weird one because it's not like I'm entirely confident that we're going to get the big man bumping into each other, shoulder tackles, etc., etc.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I find the Wardlow project. By the way, the chat was very much divided. I think Jungle Boy was the consensus, but there was a lot of O'Reilly picks also. I think this Wardlow project is like one of the more interesting things the promotion's done, in that he is not what you would call the archetype for an AEW top guy. When we first thought of what they would look like, we thought, star ratings, match quality nerds. I mean, I'm not trying to be dismissive of Wardlow, but he's probably had one great match, right, with Cody. Other than that, it's been squashes.
Yeah, but
not saying that matters. I'm just saying he's not. He isn't.
Good matches are overrated.
Yeah, agreed. I prefer shitty ones. No,
yeah.
I
Omos Lashley, give me that.
That wasn't. Let me tell you, it wasn't a good match. It was a great match, brother. Look, in all seriousness, it's interesting because to me, it's like what you said is key. How do you maintain the popularity of a Wardlow without kind of being one note? Right now, people like him powerbombing the hell out of guys and pinning them in 3 minutes. But how much can you sustain that as you push him, right? Everyone uses the Batista comparison. At some point, Batista started having 20 to 25-minute matches. Results were mixed, but he stayed with Batista and people still loved him, so it worked. Are we confident we're going to get there, Wardlow? When he wrestles MJF at the pay-per-view, they're going to have a real match. We both know that, right? They're going to go out there and fucking have a match. I'm just intrigued. How confident are you on Wardlow's ability to kind of convert this into a sustained main event position?
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, definitely, because, like you said, we haven't had a chance to see it, Yeah. It's the, obviously, this is at a much higher scale, but it's the same with Hook,
Yes.
But these guys are protected, man, and we love what we see so far, but when they start stepping out of what they're doing at the moment, it's like that's when we'll really see the meat and potatoes of what they're going to be able to do. I think Wardlow will be fine because his offense when he's throwing people around and stuff for the most part always looks great. Obviously he's an incredible athlete. Like I said, when I said that good matches are overrated, in these cases, they genuinely are.
Yeah, I agree.
Wardlow could go the rest of his career and not have anything better than a 3 1/4 match. And he'll be fine because he has the presence, he has the look, he has this, he has that. It seems like they've gone all in with him. I don't think anyone's expecting him to be the next Okada.
But the question is, can he be that guy and maximize his personal potential without eventually veering into the great match lane that you and I fear so much? Because look, AEW fans, and I'm not saying this is even a slight. AEW fans definitely want their world champion to be like an ace type figure, Now, you and I may agree that Wardlow can do what he's doing forever and be an attraction, but do they want him to be the top guy? That's what's interesting, right? That balance. Brother, if he beats MJF at the next pay-per-view, he's one of the top 10 guys in the promotion. And it's
yeah.
It's going to be really interesting. I don't know. I don't know the answer, to be clear. I actually think, and Jack's right, that's a good point. The match he had with Hangman on TV was really strong. I think there's evidence that your points are accurate when you say that you're confident in what you can do. It's just like he's a different type of top guy for them. I think the same is true for Hobbs to a lesser extent. Like, I don't necessarily know where it falls. I love Hobbs, but it's hard. They haven't had top guys and they're a brand new company. Nonetheless,
I think as well, just before we finish on Wardlow,
no, you're good, go on.
It's even say if Wardlow never surpasses average in the ring, yeah, which to me would be quite unlikely. But let's just say, there's that many people in AEW that you could just throw him in a match with to carry him.
Yeah.
So, how much of a problem would it really be? I don't, You put Brian Danielson. You put Brian Danielson. You put Brian Danielson in there with me. Probably get something out of it. There is that with this day and age in wrestling. There's that many people who are like being a good worker is the norm now. Especially with AEW, for example, a 4-star match on AEW TV isn't that.
Oh, it's nuts.
Not really. It's crazy. It's a crazy time that we're in. Like wrestling's, I don't think wrestling's ever been like this. Even when WWE and WCW in their peaks were putting out great television, it was never like a string of great matches.
No,
you know what I mean. You'd get for WCW, you'd probably get like a great cruiserweight match or something like that. You know what I mean?
There have been episodes of Dynamite that the consensus rating has been like a 7 for that have had like 3 4-star matches. Like, you're 100% right. Like, it's weird. I actually think people fail to realize how unique it is. Like, it's definitely not normal how it is right now.
Yeah, it all blends together. It's
like NXT was the same too. When they were going head to head, like NXT was a boring television product. But if you look at like their star ratings, they were just fucking churning out 4-star matches. Like, you're right. That kind of breed of worker that currently is seemingly everywhere. They can produce
man. Yeah, I feel like you've got to have more now. It's a crazy time. And sometimes like a 4-star match isn't a 4-star match anymore. Does that make sense? So it's like, how can you say a 4-star match is a 4-star match when normally that would mean, one of the better matches you've seen this month or something, when now it's just like a match. I struggle with that a lot sometimes. I'll be watching a match and the work's good, it's great, whatever, and I haven't connected with it or whatever, and it's just it's just blended in. It's nothing overly memorable because I'll see another good match in probably 5 minutes. So
I think part of it is everyone does everything now, right? Like, there are very few specialists nowadays. I mean, now, because everyone watches all of this different pro wrestling and, everyone has stolen stuff from Japan and Mexico and, like, it's like everyone's doing, not everyone, but, like, a lot of wrestlers are doing their take on, like, the WCW Cruiserweight division. So, like, here's a perfect example. We talked about this last night when we was watching him do a squash match on Dark. Like, dude, Tony Nese is fucking unbelievable. Like, if you watch that dude's offense, he's ridiculous. Like, he's a power guy who can do flips, and he
could knee in the corner,
brother. I mean, he lays that thing in, and he just feels like a guy. Like, because everyone does that shit now.
It's weird.
It's strange. I don't know. And look, people can say there's always been guys like that. Trust me, I've watched enough old wrestling to know. Once upon a time, if you had a guy like Tony Nese, he would be on TV just because he was that good of a wrestler. Now it's like, and let me be clear, I'm not saying he should be on AEW TV because don't we all agree that like he is what he is, right? There's no shame in it, but it's just interesting. I mean, a guy like Biff Busick isn't signed. What the fuck's going on? Filth.
It's wild times. Look how long it took us to get Bud Matt. Like, I know it was a bit on the channel and stuff, but when you or I or when it was shoot and when you guys are doing it on the channel, like Bud Matt is legit freakishly good at wrestling. So he's that guy was just floundering for months. But we got worried. We're getting worried, man.
Dude, do you remember that day when the MLW thing broke and you like scooped it?
Because I posted it on the website by accident. But I don't even know if it was an accident, to be honest, but I got it on Twitter before they did. So that was a part.
Colt Bauer said, we have a wrestler coming in tonight who fits our identity. He is underrated. He is a slept-on killer in the game. All this, like, and I immediately was like, oh my fucking God, it's Buddy Matt. Like, I knew it was. I texted you, I was like, oh, this is bad. And then you sent me the graphic, because as you said, they just posted on their website. Fucking goons.
It wasn't even their website, it was the ticket website.
Even better. On the day of the show, too.
Yeah.
And so, like, for about 3 hours, we were convinced he had signed, like, a 12-year contract with Major League Wrestling, and we were kind of, like, circling the drain on whether we'd be into this Hammerstone match. I remember you convincing yourself he was going to wrestle Bandito, because you were, like, he was also working that night. Do you remember? He was, like, an open door thing. And then I kind of realised, oh, wait, Buddy tweeted 2 days ago, I have no bookings this weekend, and Cole just booked him for a one-off. And I was like, well, that was a little bit dramatic. He came in, did a job to TJP, and bounced. God bless him. Yeah, I don't know. He's an AEW now. Did you know that, Buddy Matthews?
It's been on New Japan Strong sometimes as well.
Dude, that match of Ren Narita, oh my God. That was old school 4 stars, brother.
Yeah.
Old money 4 stars. That was fucking ruled.
That was something. He's so explosive.
Yeah, he's an animal.
He's a freak. I think people genuinely do sleep on him. Like, I know this audience has probably been bored to death with him.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ.
And it's like, I get it, like, he's kind of bland, but it's like, look at him, though, man, you know?
You see what Brody King said about him the other day?
I think so.
He's a monster. He looks like he always looks like he's going to kick the shit out of you. Something like
that. Yeah, that rule.
He's the biggest person I've ever seen. He's like, I've seen. There's obviously bigger people like Brian Cage, etc. Was the name he said. Then he's like muscle definition, everything is the biggest guy I've ever seen.
Is this on unrestricted? I need to see this. I need to hear this. This sounds hilarious. Just in awe of Bud Matt, Big Brody King. That's awesome. Okay, I need to seek this out. What do we think they're doing in the House of Black? They're gonna have a feud coming up here soon. I don't think they'll be feuding with Fuego for next month. Any guess on their next direction, or are we still waiting?
Well, they've done anything with the Dark Order, really? Or what's?
Oh yeah, they did one tag. They did one tag on the aforementioned Super Card of Honor show that they.
It's hard to do an actual feud with the Dark Order because Malachi Black feels like I wouldn't say a main eventer because of how crazy the roster is, but you know, in most territories.
Yes.
That's the case with probably their entire mid card, to be honest. But you get what you get. Yeah, I think Malachi Black, with him being the main guy of House of Black, it's hard to get a proper feud out of Dark Order because who can match up with him? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
John Silver. I like John Silver, but he's not someone I want to see go, 1 and 2 against Malachi Black, So
yeah, it's difficult too because it's like you can't just beat these guys, right? Like you have to House of Black has to be really protected, so you can only do certain feuds. It's difficult. There's definitely a balance. I'm sure they'll have something for them as the next pay-per-view cycle approaches. Nonetheless. Let's wind down here.
The Brody King interview was with Wrestling Perspective.
Okay. Well, there you go. Folks, this has been fun. Thanks for joining us for the AEW Dynamite preview. We may be seeing us on screen together at some other point this week, right? Let's do some promotions, man. Let's just plug out stuff. Go ahead.
Okay, so hopefully, fingers crossed, as long as equipment cooperates with me, we should be going live tomorrow, roughly about the same time. Mm-hmm. So there's that. It'll be similar to what we've just done here, but of course with a Dynamite review rather than a preview, and just talking about the topics that are going around that day, doing a bit of discourse, etc. I'm not sure who else is going to be on the stream just yet. Just now it's me and yourself locked in. Of course, WrestlePurist.com. We've always got features going up on there. Of course, we do the news and stuff like that on there. I'm sure some of you have seen us on Twitter. Go follow us over there. What else we got? But yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube, WrestlePurist.
Yes.
Hit subscribe and get ready for the stream. But hopefully, if all goes well, we'll be live tomorrow and you'll be seeing us again on there. And hopefully a few more pals as well. And that'll be the start of the channel, basically. And yeah, we'll be doing a lot of stuff on there. A lot of different stuff as well.
Yeah, hopefully. Lots coming up. Many different ideas that have been thought through, very little on my end that I've sent immediately over like I've fleshed it out, which is a familiar sight for anyone that's worked with me before. You get what you get, I suppose. Yeah, exactly.
4 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Same. God bless us, man. Living on that Eastern time zone here in Great Britain. I'll be back tonight, guys, for the Dynamite review. I'm probably going to do that immediately after, unless I get distracted by the Brooklyn Nets Boston Celtics game, in which case I'm going to watch Dynamite after and I'll review it. Before I go to sleep, I will review Dynamite. So that's tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing the aforementioned, hopefully, stream over on WrestlePurist. Then myself and Jack Crosby at around 6 p.m. maybe Eastern time, 5:30, around that range. We'll be previewing the Tyson Fury Dylan White fight over on latenightgrin.com. Then coming over to the YouTube for the Historical Oracle. By the way, who you got, White or Fury?
No, Fury. But it would be a pop. It would be a pop if White won because boxing. So, but Fury. Not to bore the audience with boxing talk, but honestly, like I used to be more into boxing up until like the past year or so. Obviously, Fury hasn't exactly fought loads of times since then, but I don't think Fury's on a different level to these other heavyweights. UC talent-wise is maybe comparable, but
Fury's
size different.
Fury's huge. I mean, even if you look at like the face-off with Wyatt, it's like fuck, he's so much taller than Dylan Wyatt. Dylan Wyatt's a big guy. I don't necessarily disagree, but I will give more of my fleshed out takes on such a thing tomorrow with Jack Crosby, that piece of shit, over on latenightgrin.com. Folks, much to look forward to. But in the meantime, enjoy this outro. Wow.